Hi, this is Savannah,
And this is Brian from the Dorky Diva Show,
and you're listening to Starboars.
the best place for below average Star Wars.
Welcome to Starboars, the best place for below average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the best place for below average Star Wars. I'm the Jolly Jedi Pete, and I'm joined by the Canon Junkie XL Ian. Ian, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yes, I'm feeling good, mate. If you believe it or not, this is actually our 60th episode of the podcast, so a little milestone for us today.
That's awesome.
Yep, episode 60. We are 60 episodes in, and hopefully many more to go still. We're here today to talk about War of the Bounty Hunters. Obviously, the first issue of the actual War of the Bounty Hunters run is out now, Most Wanted. We've also read the director's cut, which was sort of a preload to War of the Bounty Hunters, which was called Precious Cargo. And then I have not read them, but I know you have, Ian, obviously the tie-ins in the Star Wars comic and the Vader comic and whatnot. And we're going to sort of deep dive on War of the Bounty Hunters and how it started and how exciting it is to have some characters who weren't expecting to come back early on.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, that was one hell of a surprise.
Definitely. But before we dive into War of the Bounty Hunters, let's just get some out of the way. Ian, housekeeping wise, have you had any Star Wars going on lately? Have you purchased pre-ordered?
I've done a couple of pre-orders so far. I picked up Hunter and Crosshair from the Bad Batch line a while back, so I've already pre-ordered Wrecker and Tech just to complete that. My Darth Maul 50th anniversary publishing figure, Black Series figure came. I love that figure because I've got the trade paperback of the comic that he was introduced in. Other than that, just trying to think. I got a couple of single issues of the War of the Bounty Hunters because I enjoyed it that much. Because I buy all my comics digitally because I don't have a local comic book store. But when something does hit right, I ordered them for Forbidden Planet. They came the other day. And other than that, no, that's it, mate. Really, just waiting for the High Republic Rising Storm to come out at the end of the month. Yourself?
Good. I've been pretty busy on the pre-orders. So on the UK Report website, I picked up the 50th anniversary Black Series line. Obviously, we know they've been releasing some figures with the 50th anniversary logo on. Some of them were just sort of can packaging from sort of the 70s. The Clone Wars ones are being released in the actual Clone Wars packaging from the 2000s, and then they are now doing a Luke Skywalker, a Han Solo, and a Greedo figure, Hasbro 6-inch Black Series figures, but they're on the Power of the Force cards from the 90s, which is the main line I collected and played with as a kid. So I was like, I need those definitely. So I've just pre-ordered those this morning. So that's those three pre-ordered, and then I've also pre-ordered the Republic Trooper from the Old Republic. So I think he had his character debut like a long time ago. It got released once, I think, as a vintage collection cardback. So this was voted for from the vault to be re. So I pre-ordered that from Hasbro Pulse as well.
That's awesome.
And Hasbro took the next figure that they've already released twice.
Yeah.
In the deluxe price range because of the cloak, and my first thought was, oh, like, what a money grab that is. I also did pre-order it, so I'm part of the problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have that order. Yeah, so it's like the bigger figures that come with more accessories. I think it's priced at the deluxe range, unless the price band's gone up. But like it's priced at $26.99 here in the UK, where standard Black Series figures are $21.99.
Robbery.
So
mate.
to me that says it is at the deluxe price brand. So, but it looks like you just get him with the 2 blasters, and then he comes with the cloak on. So, yeah, it's a bit of a money grab, but it does look awesome. So I did grab it.
Fair enough.
I also got a cool little eBay purchase. Mr. Edward Bay. I bought Star Wars Episode 1 Incredible Cross Sections.
Well, that's it.
So this is from 1999. On the cover, it's got the Naboo N1 Starfighter and a companion, and so like the cross section is cut away. So it's not the biggest of books, but I through sections, and then some pages that like fold out in like 3 pages to show you more. But it's got everything from the Naboo Raw starship to Darth Maul Sith Infiltrator. They've got the pod racers in there. They've got the droid starfighters. Everything from Coruscant cloud taxis. They've got the AAT battle tank. Got the STAP, the Trade Federation. Got the Naboo speeders. So yeah, like pretty much everything that's in the movie. The Republic Cruiser, which I loved in the Phantom Menace. The Republic Cruiser is in there as well. It was a really cool book. I picked it up for like, it's got a $12.99 sticker on, so like originally it cost $12.99 back in 1999, but I picked it up for like £3.70. So
That's a good
very
steal.
happy with that to come. Yeah, and like the dust jacket's a little bit torn on the edges, but other than that, it's in pretty alright condition, and the inside pages are pretty cool. You can see everything. So yeah, I was really happy to pick that up. Yeah, really, really happy.
Sounds.
Another thing that's been happening in Star Wars is I noticed Cassian Andor is like still filming. They've just moved to some more locations, so it seems to be like never ending. They're filming on Andor, which to me gets me excited because it's like, how many different worlds and planets are we going to go to in this series?
Yeah, it sounds massive in scale. Like obviously they were filming up not far from us recently, and then I think they've moved further down south now. I think if that's the case. Yeah, it sounds absolutely massive in scope, like Andor, and I'm really excited for the show. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good one. Cassian, like a rebel spy type show. This is very intriguing to me.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I can't wait for that. So that was cool to read. Essentially, I just read article. I was like, oh, now filming here, and I was like, all right. Like I thought I'd stopped by now, but no. So yeah, that's going to be really cool. Yeah, exciting times. Let's sort of move on to our main topic of discussion today, which is War of the Bounty Hunters. So when this got announced, pretty exciting. It's Charles Soule's going to be writing the main comic line, and it's also going to feed into the other Star Wars comics that are out at the same time. Obviously, Charles Soule's brilliant. And he did release this alpha sort of prelude director's cut called Precious Cargo. Illustrated by Steve McNiven. What were your sort of overall thoughts reading the director's cut?
It was just to me. It was obviously the standard like opening to a major event. Obviously, we see Boba Fett on Nar Shaddaa, so we'll get into that. And I thought it was a really excuse me, sorry. I thought it was a really solid start to the whole massive crossover event, which, like you say, which obviously spans all these different comics, and it's going to be Marvel said it's the biggest crossover event they've ever done, Star Wars wise. So yeah, I thought it was a really solid thing. Obviously, we'll get into the minutiae of the actual issue in a minute, but yeah, I thought it was a really solid start. I enjoyed it. The artwork, I must say, I messaged the artist the other day, Luke Ross, because he's my favourite Star Wars comic artist out there, because his artwork's just absolutely tremendous. So yeah, I couldn't recommend it any higher. It was a really good, really solid start. The opening, obviously the alpha, the prelude to the War of the Bounty Hunters.
Yeah, definitely, and it is going to be running. So just how big it is, it's got its own comic line in War of the Bounty Hunters. It will then also be running through the Star Wars line, the Star Wars Bounty Hunters line, the Darth Vader line, and the Dr. Aphra line.
Plus they have like 5 one-shot issues coming out with different characters.
So is that the IG-88 one?
Yeah, the
Boosh?
Jabba the Hutt ones, Zuckuss and Forlom and all that type of stuff, yeah.
yeah, so Gamer getting some lots of underworld characters there, getting one-offs as well. So yeah, it is looking quite big. I'm probably not going to pick them all up. I just wanted to get a good starting point. I'll probably wait for the trade paperback, to be honest. So the director's cut, like I loved. I thought it was very fast paced. It got us to essentially got us from Cloud City to Boba's current problem really quick, which I did enjoy. We start off with Boba Fett. He's on the way to Jabba the Hutt. Tells me he's got his package. He's talking to Bib Fortuna. And then all of a sudden you notice a few little red specks on Han Solo in carbonite on his hand, and then it starts beeping. Boba's like, "I'll call you back." And it's obvious. It's obvious that the Han in carbon freeze is not stable.
And they said the carbonite matrix is unstable because there's an organic in it.
So he ends up going to Nar Shaddaa, the smuggler's moon. It takes a little stop off, where he meets I'm not familiar with the species, but the Dexter Jester type creature.
Oh, what are they called? It's not a. It's a Bassa something. Keep talking. I'll just Google it now.
So he goes there, which is a really cool. He's like a doctor type guy, I believe, or mechanic.
Yeah, he's a doctor. Yeah, well, I don't know if he's an official doctor, but one of these dodgy doctors. Basilisk. Yeah, Basilisk is. That's his species.
So he's here and he's got a lot of character about him. Fett's like, "Can you fix him up?" He's like, "Yes, I can. I can definitely fix it up for you."
For a price.
Boba says, "I'm good to pay a double once I drop him off with Jabba the Hutt." And he's like, "You know me, Fett. I never ever give people work on credit. You've got to pay up front first." Boba, down on his luck, doesn't have any money at the minute. And what he says is, "Well, if you can't pay us up front, what you can do is that you can go and kill this person I don't like, but this person is a fighting champion." Yeah,
like an arena champion, yeah.
So you have to do that in.
While still against some great visuals of
like the deterioration of the carbonite and Han Solo inside it, just to show you how serious the situation is.
Yeah, because at first I thought it was just going to be him wake up, but no, if it deteriorates, he dies. So he needs to get this sorted.
Yeah, the doctor makes very clear that the carbon freeze is deteriorating, but that doesn't mean that it will become unfrozen. Essentially, it just means that it will deteriorate and any organics inside of it will die and turn to goo, is what he says.
Yeah.
So he ends up going to he has to go and register for this battle.
But at first, the great moment is first where he's talking about he doesn't need any more problems and his armor comes with a certain reputation, so he gives him some black paint. And that's where we get the Boba Fett on the front cover with the black paint, because they have to paint his armor because he obviously doesn't want any trouble, because obviously his armor comes with a great reputation.
Yeah, so this creature is going to kill. Sort of works for the Kanji Huts. In the Kanji Huts, obviously, Boba doesn't want to kill their champion, and the Kanji Huts come after him. So he very much doesn't want to go by that name on that moniker or look that way. Paints himself up, and he's essentially like matte black, shiny black paint. And they ask him what his name is, and he goes by the name of Django,
which is awesome.
Yeah, and then we also get he's waiting to go out into the arena, and then we also get a picture of the last time he was in the arena, which was as his father's helmet up with his father's severed head inside it.
Yeah, nice.
So a little bit of human emotion there, as if that's what's going through his mind.
It's a good moment.
As the door opens, and then it's very quick to show he flies through one challenger who is Johnny the Sting. He kills him pretty quick. He's like a creature, looks a bit like a Rathor, maybe not quite, but looks similar to Rathor. And then he fights Scuddy-Con, who he blasts Scuddy-Con's heads off.
The commentary in this moment is pretty funny,
definitely. And then he ends up doesn't tell you who he fights the third time around, but it's I think it's a Neimoidian, is how you say it. The same species as. Actually, no, maybe not.
No, I think he's a Duro, which is obviously the same species as Cad Bane.
So he slices his head off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he fights a big bot. He looks like half a Gamorrean god, half a robot. Well, that's what he is. I don't know. And Django, he shoots him in the head. Not a championship fight. Then he sort of back.
Talking about another gladiator.
Wasn't that it? Why didn't Nick
Fight she's been
champ for a long time? Most. And this is when the guy Europe for the final match. I was like, this is going to suit the champion 100.
Yeah.
And you turn the page and you find out that Lyman Nikta is like a Spider Woman, and they've changed the arena up to be a Spider as well, essentially. So Boba's at a disadvantage straight away. Yeah. So then I'm having a fight, which is really cool. Boba holds his own. We'll get to see him using his jetpack, using his wrist rockets, his blasters, uses his knife as well. She ends up putting one of our spider's eggs like for his shoulder, I think. So yeah, he's pretty knackered. His jetpack ends up getting stuck to like a support beam from her spider's web, and then she's about to come and kill him. But what she doesn't realise is that Boba's jetpack's positioned so it's aimed right at her. She's standing over him, and obviously he uses his wrist pad to fire the rocket from the jetpack and kills her and becomes champion.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Obviously, he goes to the desk, he wants his winnings. The huts are like, we've took the winnings because you kill our champion, but if you fight for us, you can sort of earn our money and your money back. Obviously, Fett's like, no, I need to get back to Han Solo, I need to get back to Jabba the Hutt, so he just tells him to keep it. So you can see, he's definitely not after trouble. He just into this Han Solo problem, so you can just get it sorted out. And then we find out that the Doctor has been shot and Han Solo has been stolen.
Yeah.
And when Boba gets back, he finds the Doctor bleeding out green blood. And then Boba gets Jabba the Hutt and Bib Fortuna. You know that Jabba is not happy at all.
No.
that he's been delivered. Boba tells him it's going to be a minute, and then the last thing is essentially
There's one night us.
the current
Comic run.
First issue.
One of the things I loved about this director's cut is that
Like a black and white
white version of the comic,
Yeah.
with no.
It's got no photos, no speech bubbles.
No graphics. It's just drawings, and some of the panels look even more sort of fantastic this way.
Yeah, that's Luke Ross. Luke Ross does an amazing job with the artwork.
So I think in this issue, it's actually who did I say it was again? So Luke Ross takes over for issue 1 of War of the Monument Knows, yes, but for this one it was Steve McNiven.
Oh no, dear. Sorry, man. Yeah, I thought
So-
I knew Luke Ross had done the first one. I assumed he'd done the first issue.
But yeah, so like when it's black and white, it's like looks fantastic. Like you literally get prints of this and put it on your wall. It would look brilliant. So yeah, so I thought it was very quick. A lot of things going on, a lot of detail, but very quick, fast paced. Sets you up that Boba's gone through this whole battle, like a hell of an ordeal to get Han Solo in the condition he needs to get him in to drop him off to end all this, and then he gets back, and then Han's gone. So it's like this is actually just the beginning, Boba Fett, of your journey here, and it's going to be a wild ride for you. Was what I took away from it.
Yeah, definitely very fast paced, like you said, and just it was like a fun opening to the obviously the massive crossover event we're about to all see together.
No, definitely, and I think some of my favorite. All of the deterioration in the carbonite, how it was very subtle, but enough the way like this is what's happening, like there's big problems here. So I enjoyed those panels with the Han Solo and carbonite deteriorating. I love the panel young Boba holding the helmet, and that was what was going through his mind. as he entered an arena, as if it was like a flashback. You know, I haven't been in an arena in a while. Last time it happened, this bad thing happened, and how it just essentially that pain sort of motivated him to just, you know, wipe out these 4 contenders and then take out the champion. So again, we get a bit more human nature to Boba Fett, which continues what we've seen in the Mandalorian of Boba Fett as well, which is good.
I think they're doing what they did with Darth Maul with Boba Fett. Obviously, Darth Maul in the Phantom Menace, a very one-dimensional character. Looks awesome, cool character. Doesn't do a lot, doesn't say a lot. Obviously, has that awesome lightsaber duel, but then we all think he dies. But then obviously they bring him back in Clone Wars, and now he's a very obviously multifaceted, intriguing character. And I think that's what they'll do with Boba Fett in this, and then obviously with the Book of Boba Fett later in the year.
Yep. So that brings us into War of the Bounty Hunters issue 1, Most Wanted, written by Charles Soule and illustrated by Luke Ross.
There we go.
And this one starts off like the opposite, where we see Han Solo and Carbonite in perfect hibernation, which, you know, is a change from the last one we read.
Obviously, the Doctor did the work before they shot him.
Yeah. So there's this spaceship called the Vermilion, which is in the mid-rim deep space. It looks very peculiar, almost similar design aesthetic though to Dryden and Voss's yacht, I would say.
Yes, there's obviously we'll get into the big surprise at the end, but there is subtle hints throughout the issue. When I was reading it, I was thinking, no, I don't think obviously this will happen, but no, yeah, there is subtle hints to what's happening is also going on in the issue.
Yeah, so this first panel we see Han Solo and Carbonite, and the people who are there, we don't know who they are, we can't really see them, but they're talking about how they imagine the process is quick, but whether due to the Carbonite or something else, look at his face, it's clear at this moment this man was in extraordinary pain. So it's sort of tying the fact like, was the process what caused the pain, or was it the fact he was sort of getting taken away from Leia and Chewie? Was that what caused him the pain? It's probably a mixture of both, I would imagine.
I also didn't realise that the person bringing Han Solo to this mysterious hooded figure is Margot Trinier from Solo, the Star Wars story.
Yep. There's a lot of Solo tie-ins in the first part of this book, just cool. You know, different with dealing with the inner world, and like, you know, Solo certainly deals with that. So I think it's like from other aspects of Star Wars. So the story group doing a good job there in suggesting things for the creators. So yeah, essentially they're talking about how, oh, by the way, we took him from someone, but that someone was working for Boba Fett, and this woman who's hooded is sort of saying, you know, gives it the big expo.
Yeah.
Yes, I know he's good, but it's just one man, and we're all of this. If he wants his property back, he's welcome to try. And it's just like, I probably wouldn't be saying that, you know.
No. No, I wouldn't be mouthing off about Bob.
Yeah, it reminded me like John Wick when they're talking about like when they steal his car in the first movie, and it's like, oh, haha, it's just like one man. What you gonna do? And then John Louis, I was like, damn it.
Because there's a part in John Wick where they find out it's him, and they say you killed his dog, and they're all like, uh-oh. And they're like, uh-oh.
So the story starts off with Boba Fett. He's still in Hut space. He's still on Nar Shaddaa, the smuggler's moon. He's sort of having a drink in a bar. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He says someone's going to die because someone stole something from him. And as he's doing that, there's this.
I was just saying, mate, I love the fact that the bartender, like, if you read the comics, the bartender's the same guy all the way through. Like, this guy's been bartending at his bar for a very long time on Nar Shaddaa.
Yeah, at least it's good to know that he's hasn't been killed by any of the Pyrans, and he's good to know that.
He's come up against the Luke Skywalkers and the Darth Mauls of the world, so he's done all right for himself.
Definitely. You see his couple in the background, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to see about you." And Boba Fett's head pops up, open contract. Then he goes, "He's just over there. I'm going to go get him." Fett sees him in the outline of a glass. Again, it's a really good panel. Fett turns around and just blasts, and no questions asked. Like, see you there.
Yeah, I love the fact that he doesn't like check. Like the bartender asks him, he's like, "Oh, what was that about?" He's like, "Oh, who knows? Money, revenge. It's all the same thing."
Now you see him walking through the streets of North Shadow. Sends a message before Fortuna saying he's got a bit to deliver the packages agreed, won't be a problem. You would know it's definitely one big problem at the minute.
We see him
Board slave war
as he
seen it.
Yep.
Now
we see Zuckus, who's third effect.
I never
Very nice
ever
of us.
spoken like the third person.
Yeah, he's like the Rock. He's like the Rock of the Star Wars galaxy. Yeah, Zuckus. He always thinks, yeah, it's good. Zuckus thinks Boba Fett should stay down if he wants to survive the next few minutes.
Yeah, it's like it was really added
Plus,
a
he
bit
can,
of
yeah, he can see into the future as well, can't he?
yeah. So we're gonna get that because he drops a few bits here. So like Fett's obviously not happy. Gets up. He's got a point of pass on. He jetpacks up, but then Forlom's behind him. The blast off. Fett flies down, drops his guns. They have a conversation. And essentially, Boba ends up getting his wrist pad, handy wrist pad, so it doesn't activate things not around him. For Slave One's cannons to move, and he shoots the deck. Even with that, Zuckus is hanging from the landing pad, still talking in the third person. Zuckus tells him he'll tell him his future. He says, "Everything is red, a sea of red, and you are drowning in it," which I think maybe shows that Zuckus really can see the future, because to me he's describing the pit of Cocoon.
Yeah.
From Return of the Jedi with the Sarlacc inside of it in the Dune Sea. Boba kicks him off the ramp and land at the end of Zuckus, maybe.
I don't think so, because we don't, like I said, we don't see him die, and there is a one-shot Zuckus and Forlom comic coming out with the Water Battle, so I don't think we've seen the last of them.
And then we see Forlom, who is sort of his legs being blasted off by that blaster shot. He's just lying on the deck, but he's still conscious. Fett cuts his head off, takes his head into the ship, plugs it in because he wants to find out the information. And that's where Fett finds out that there's a price on him. It's an open contract, so anyone in the galaxy will be coming after him. And that's when he finds out the client is Jabba the Hutt.
Yep.
We go to Tatooine, which is really cool.
Always good to go to Tatooine.
I like how they've put like a bridge leading to Jabba's palace now.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this is a different entrance to the one in Return of the Jedi. I mean, it's a big palace, so probably has multiple entrances, I would imagine.
Yeah, it must do. I remember playing the old Force Unleashed DLC, and there was a bridge you crossed to get to Jabba's palace in that. So yeah,
this one has. So this has like the archway from the Macquarie concept art from the or Jakku and
Force Awakens.
And that's like the
Oh yeah, I never realised that. Yeah, it's a good tie in that.
Structure.
Fett's walking with the head.
Yeah, it does.
And then Bigfoot some Gamorrean pig guards are out straight away. Gods tells Babe like what's going on, like I need to see Jabba clear it up. Babe says, "Look, we thought you'd sold it to someone else because someone else told us that they had him." Fett's out, need to clear it. Let's go see Jabba right now. That's when you find out that Jabba is actually not in the palace. He's on his war barge, the Shadru, which looks like almost like it's like a space version of a space-worthy version of his sail barge he has while he drives around Tatooine.
Yeah, I love this because obviously I love this little bit here because they obviously have a really good conversation about obviously who has Han Solo, and Jabba himself says there is a nice tie into the High Republic because one of the oldest Hutts is sleeping during this meeting where they're discussing this, and when he wakes up, they're like, "Well, what do you think?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I think we can bargain with Chancellor Lena Soh, which is obviously the Chancellor from the High Republic," and that's like a nice tie to the High Republic without obviously being too like on the nose, which is pretty funny. But then it's the bit where Jabba says he's obviously talking about the organisation. We obviously don't know the organisation is yet who has taken Han Solo, but he says there's something important to consider. This person who ran this organisation was not someone who could stay hidden this long. One way or the other, he would have revealed himself by now. And if he hasn't, I believe he's dead. And so they say, and if the question is, whoever this person is who's in charge may have killed this person, and if so, they're formidable. So that to me says, obviously, Jabba knew Maul was in charge of Crimson Dawn back in the day, which is awesome, which is a pretty cool sign, because I didn't know if we knew. Because obviously, Maul was in charge of the Shadow Collective in the Clone Wars, but then obviously the Hutts are part of the Shadow Collective after that. So that I just thought that was a really cool tie into obviously Jabba knowing that Darth Maul was in charge of Crimson Dawn, and that if someone has taken him out, obviously we know how he's died. He obviously dies on Tatooine with Obi-Wan, so it's not the person takes him out, but then it's a really awesome panel to say, right, if someone has, obviously it doesn't sound like Jabba's in fear, but it does kind of sound like he is a bit in fear of this person if they have taken out Darth Maul, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think Jabba's very much
Being very thoughtful guy.
so it's like, like I don't think it's Maul, because Maul would have showed himself by now. Maul's dead. Who's Maul? Maul's no longer control the Shadow Collective. Is it someone who which is sort of good logic to go off, and if that's the case, I mean, he'd be very careful how we proceed. Jabba's been very careful, I would say, and he's not overestimating anybody here. In sort of his planning and stuff. So yeah, and then we see a picture of like all these Hutt ships that are waiting, just having this meeting.
Yeah, I like this as well, because obviously we just think of them as criminals, but they actually have got a vast empire, the Hutt cartel. So they have warships, they have pilots, they have starfighters, and all that type of thing. So they are a formidable force.
And Jabba says we will be ready for what happens. And then we see Boba still like all Jabba's people, Squid Head, everyone who's in the Jabba's palace still comes out to pack up Bib Fortuna, and Boba says, "You know who I am. You got a firefight here. You might kill me, but I guarantee I'll kill a lot of you." And they sort of believe him.
This is one of my favourite panels, because obviously he says, "You know I am a Boba Fett. You know what that means." This is all of you who want to live, who doesn't. But I promise you, fight me and you die, but most of you will be dying. And they all back off, which is just obviously the reputation Boba Fett has in this underworld setting.
No, definitely. And then so they decide not to fight him, and they let him pass through with Bib Fortuna, because he wants to see the invitation himself, and this is where we're going to get the big giveaway at the end of the book. So we see the hologram of the hooded woman with the Han Solo and Carbonite. You, Jabba, most exalted of all Hutts, you are invited to be present alongside representatives of the great galactic powers to witness the return of Crimson Dawn. So we finally get the word Crimson Dawn mentioned. We do not wish to antagonize or cause friction or upset existing arrangements. We wish only to engage with galactic society to do business to prosper. You will find we can be a very useful organization, able to achieve and obtain things no one else can, such as this particular prize, Captain Han Solo, which we offer to you as a gesture of goodwill. We have extended similar invitations to your council, Jabba. We look forward to welcoming you to our celebration on Jakara. Until then, we'll wait at the dawn. So Jakara, I haven't heard of that world before. Have you?
No, I think it's new. I'll have a look quickly, but yeah, I think it's a new world.
So this is obviously Jakara seems to be the place where, well, Crimson Dawn definitely holding this celebration on Jakara. Celebrations or not, I don't know. We will find out. But yeah, we get the name Crimson Dawn. We get this as, she knows the way to Jabba's heart is with Boba Fett, is with Han Solo, sorry. Yeah. And they must have been clued in as to what was happening with Han and where he was on Bespin and all that type of thing, and knew that Fett had him. So yeah, Fett's very much like Crimson Dawn is back and stole Solo from under me to impress Jabba, and it's like, yeah, that is what the plan is.
But yeah, it was this point where I was like, no way, they're not doing this, surely not. Like, in a good way. Like, I was like, this is crazy.
You've got to pay my flying to Jakarta and getting my property back. That's a bit. But how?
Diminished.
In its current state, you're only one man. And he goes, no, I am Boba Fett. I said at the beginning of all this that someone was going to die. Now I know who. Which was, again, a fantastic line. And then we actually see Chikara, the mid-rim, and we see these sort of yacht-type ships, 3 of them landing. And it looks like, I don't know if it's an ice world or what.
Yeah, it says on
panels.
Wikipedia that it's an ice world.
So ice world.
Yeah, it says on Wikipedia that is, yeah.
Someone off.
Crimson Dawn, do you mind if I
Ask.
for this to work?
We needed something that would get the attention of the entire galaxy, for better or worse. I believe that's Han Solo. There's a lovely little joke here saying, how is that possible? Isn't he just a smuggler with a terrible reputation? Just thought it was a little cool little dig at Han. Han always gets given his way. But then it points out that Han is connected to every important faction in the galaxy, the Rebel Alliance, who want him back and love him. The Empire, who have used him to try and capture Skywalker. They've used him to try and get what they want. So one of the people like Sana and Dr. Aphra. And then we see Dengar and Valance on the Bounty Hunter series. And then we also see Jabba the Hutt, of course.
Yeah.
And this is where the next panels where we first see a cough.
I always want to save me.
Now he'll get his chance. Then we see it's actually Kira from Solo: A Star Wars Story who is running Crimson Dawn.
Yeah. And just as the thing, you even get the name drop, says finished preparations, the guest should be arriving soon. And Margot Runner says, yes, Lady Kira. And that is it. That is the first issue of the War of the Bounty Hunters.
Yeah, so I really loved this. What I did love is I loved how, like, I feel if I hadn't have read the director's cut and just did issue 1, I still would have loved it. But I wouldn't have had, like, that whole backstory of Boba Fett sort of in the Carbon Freeze having an issue and him already going through hell before even going into this even new hell. So I'm really glad I'd got the director's cut first. I'm glad I read the alpha before episode 1. Like I said, I don't think it would take away anything from the story, but I just think it really does get you the feels for actually Boba Fett's already gone through a war already on Nar Shaddaa, but now he's going to have to go through another one.
Yeah. Definitely, mate. Yeah, I love this issue. This is one of my favourite Star Wars comics of all time. Charles Soule is one of my favourite Star Wars storytellers. Like, I've loved all his comics, the Poe Dameron comic, the Darth Vader comic, and some of the Lando comic he did way back in 2015. He tells great stories. I also love Light of the Jedi, which was his first Star Wars novel, which was tremendous. So he's one of my favourite Star Wars storytellers. And he knocked it out of the park with this. Like I said, we all know that Boba Fett does deliver Han Solo to Jabba. So when this first started, I thought, all right, it'll be a fun adventure. We'll see a lot of cool stuff, but at the end of the day, we know it ends. But now bringing in, obviously, Kira, that's what the story's about, if you know what I mean. Like we don't know what happens to her. So we don't know. I don't think they'll kill her off in a comic. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff going around at the moment about Emilia Clarke wanting to reprise the character. I just saw that on Twitter this morning. So I think it would be a shame if they killed her off in the comic. I don't think they will. I hope they don't anyway. And yeah, so now with that, obviously that one shock at the end of the first issue, now it makes it like must read, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. You've read some of the tie-ins and other lines on the Star Wars comic and the Darth Vader comic.
Yeah.
How does it tie in much to sort of what we've just read, or?
Yes. The last one I read was the Bounty Hunters number. Let me check. I'm just going through my library now because I can't remember all of them right off the top of my head because some of them have been out for a while. The last one I read was Bounty Hunters 13, which is obviously, I'll just give you the quick overrun of it. Basically, Dengar and Valance are working together to track down Boba Fett because obviously Valance has a debt to Han Solo. He saved his life. We obviously saw that way back in the Han Solo Cadet series that was released by Marvel. And they end up, they're on Nar Shaddaa and they're fighting Chewbacca, who's trying to think. But obviously, Chewbacca doesn't want to fight, but then Valance makes a pact with Chewbacca to obviously say that you, if you care about Han Solo, you'll stay out of Chewbacca's way. And then he's a really obscure character. Do you remember the old Star Wars Uprising mobile game that came out like when the first game that came out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember a character called Death Stick?
Yep.
She's in this. She's right at the end. She's an assassin for Crimson Dawn.
Right. Awesome. That's cool.
So they are pulling out some. I didn't even know who it was because I never played Uprising. So I was like, who's that? And then I Googled it. It was like, oh, she's from the Star Wars Uprising game. So yeah, she's in that. So yeah, you've got her in play because obviously Crimson Dawn come at the end. And they're really building up in some of these preludes. Obviously, some of these other issues, the threat of Crimson Dawn and how terrified people are of Crimson Dawn coming back. Because obviously it says Crimson Dawn have been dormant for about 15 years at this point. So they've come out the shadows. Obviously, they've been in the shadows, but they've never truly gone away. The first Star Wars tie-in one. Yeah, Luke and Lando and all that go to Nar Shaddaa just after Boba Fett has been there. This is just after he's left, obviously, with the arena. They see, obviously, a guy in Mandalorian armor who's won, but then the Kanji Huts, who obviously wanted Boba to think they're friends with Boba Fett, so they have to escape the planet and all that type of thing. And then the next tie-in issue is Darth Vader, which is out tomorrow. And apparently Darth Vader
13.
Yes, he will be working with obviously Orchie of Bastoon, and IG-88 is in this one.
Yeah, I've heard that. Obviously, Vader's at that intel because there's a new threat rising, which I assume references Crimson.
Yeah.
But the ruthless bounty hunter IG-88 knows Vader's weakness. And the tagline for the issue is Dark Droid versus Dark Lord.
Yeah.
So imagine we're getting IG-88 versus Vader, maybe.
Yeah, it does say that the cover of the comic is obviously Vader fighting IG-88, which is pretty sweet. And obviously, we've seen what IGs can do with IG-11 in The Mandalorian. But the only thing that makes me laugh is every time I see an IG talk, I would just say Taika's voice. So, you know what I mean?
And then we've got Dr. Aphra 11 coming out on the
And I must escape the luxury.
cruise on Hell, and the bounty hunter.
Yes, we're going to see obviously Dirge from the Clone Wars micro series brought into canon in this issue, which is pretty sweet. I like Dirge from the thing. I obviously thought he was a bit overpowered, couldn't really kill him, but yeah, I wonder what his backstory will be now, because I know he dies in the Clone Wars in the in the comics, like the old Legends comics. So obviously he survives the Clone Wars this time, and he's still about. And I love Book of Boba Fett. I'd want to see all the bounty hunters, me on Dirge, Fennec Shan, Bosk, Dengar, all of them, Cad Bane. I would love to see them all in live action.
Definitely, I think this series is going to be a game. I think with all the live action series that are planning. So I think it's, we've got the Book of Boba Fett coming. We've got Mandalorian season 3 coming after that, and the whetting appetites for bounty hunters with this brilliant series that started off so well. So yeah, bring it on! Bring on all the bounty hunters in all the different mediums.
Yeah, because they've already said there's already obviously we don't go much into room, but they've already said Bosk will be in the Book of Boba Fett, so which is pretty sweet.
No, it isn't.
What's on World Bounty Hunter so far?
No, just like I said, really shocked. Obviously, they pulled the Kira card. I thought if they were going to do a continuation of the Solo stuff, it would be on screen. So I don't know whether that means they don't have plans to do anything Solo related because they've brought it back in a comic. But yeah, really surprised, and it's got me hooked now. Obviously, wanting to know what happens to Kira.
No, definitely. I think that it was the perfect start to really get me excited about this series. I thought with the way they set up in the alpha the director's cut, and the way they've done issue 1 of this book got me really. So when I first got announced, I was excited about it, but I got to see where it goes. But then the opening's got me like, right, I'm all in for this right now. It's going to be fantastic.
100%, mate. I couldn't agree with you more. Can't wait for the next like main War of the Bounty Hunters issue, which is I think is out in July. To be fair,
I'll find out for you in just a second. So War of the Bounty Hunters issue 2 is July. Yes, doesn't have a date yet.
Oh, I'll just
So it looks
double
like
check now.
So War of the Bounty Hunters is going to be released at the beginning of every month by the looks of it. So there's one in July, one in August, one in September, and then one in October.
Which will obviously seal out the series.
Yep. Fantastic. Ian, where can the people find you on social media?
I am on social media at Star Wars Ian, and then obviously a part of the Star Wars network as well on Twitter and Instagram. 14th of July, mate, by the way, quickly. Sorry to interrupt you. War of the Bounty Hunters too.
Fantastic. I can't wait for 14th of July. I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Ian, thank you very much for joining me again. Listeners, thank you very much for listening. May the force be with you all. And remember, always tell that to Kanjak Club.
Please follow us on Twitter at BoresStar. That's at BORESSTAR. And on Instagram and Facebook at Star Wars Podcast. You can also reach us on email at starwarspodcast@gmail.com. The Star Wars Show can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and wherever podcasts can be found. Please give us a like, subscribe, and don't forget to leave a 5-star review. May the Force be with you.